We have some long-awaited Pantheon news that'll make some people happy and some people upset, so let's get right into this and try and make this a shorter video so you can get on with your day. And I can get on with mine because I'm technically working right now. After a raucous launch for Pantheon that exceeded expectations and a following few months of rockiness with uneven content updates, missed patches from an overly ambitious weekly patch schedule, I think one thing stood out to me as the glaring issue. The promised roadmap had not materialized. But it seems like the team over at VR has uncovered the long-lost text because we now have a 2025 roadmap, a set content cadence that sounds a lot more reasonable, and a clear set of expectations for players and potential players alike for what's to come. Let's break down what the roadmap says and what it doesn't because I've got some thoughts. And I'll link the roadmap down below because I'm not going to go over it like literally line by line because that's, well, boring. And also I believe if you're really that interested, you can look into it yourself, and I do recommend that. First, they're moving to 6 to 8 week major content release cadence, which sounds just about like what they were doing with seasons back in 2024, which pretty much worked, where we had big content drops every 6 weeks or so. Some of those felt better than others. I think we can all say, for example, the drop of Avendir's Pass as a zone felt a lot better than adding in Rangers and Summoners, which might mean a bit of disappointment in the near term for players as the first 2 ribbons on the roadmap are not new things to murder or new places to explore. First, we have PvP servers dropping on April 2nd. I personally think the desire for these is a little overestimated, but I look forward to being surprised. We'll see. Servers are also going to be consolidated, which should help with the population on some lower pop servers like my own, Stormona. I was shocked with just how many servers they launched with initially, so I think this is just kind of all of that kind of coming into roost, and hopefully we should have a more robust, more populated, smaller set of servers, and I hope that means when population goes up, they make more use of that little ribbon system, that accordion system, where you had little instances of the same server, but it was all your character, all based on that server, even if honestly it led to some abuse of those servers with server hopping. But I think in the long run, it's worth it to have a coherent server instead of multiple. Our next content drop will be the iconic class abilities and class-specific quests, as well as a level 40 kit. Many classes in the game right now don't have spells or skills beyond level 20, or those that do have just a few lines that get continued upgrades through level 40. It can make leveling lose steam as there's fewer iconic things to look forward to, as well as making lower levels feel somewhat lacking due to lack of utility. So I'm looking forward to those kits being further fleshed out, but at the same time, I don't think this will alleviate any content concerns in the near term. Thus, the disappointment for some players near term. But we get our first what I consider major content update with the 3rd ribbon, Ashbreather Trench and Underground. This has been hinted at for a while, but actually came as a surprise because I expected Blackrose Keep to be the next drop of content. Ashbreather will be a dungeon area which I believe is going to be higher level. Following the content drop, we get another one right after that with Blackrose Keep. Blackrose Keep is an area very well known to people who have been following Pantheon for a while now because it was the earliest place where we saw content creator videos showing players running around Blackrose Keep. Watching Co-Carnage and Jim Lee run through Blackrose are some of my favorite memories of the earlier days of Pantheon's development. The ribbons end with mounts and taming, and then another zone that looks like an ocean zone, Badia de Kera. Mounts and taming will be an interesting one as it's part of the long-term plan that we haven't seen in the game at any point, except when horses would say hello. I'm not sure how they plan to implement this, but in the past, they've talked about a whole taming system that used their already in-game sight, smell, and sound systems for NPC recognition of player characters. If you can conceivably tame your own mounts, that adds a huge new avenue for engagement with the world for collectors, casual players, and hardcore players alike. Honestly, that's a time-tested thing to have in a game, going all the way back to an Ultima Online, taming things like mounts or nightmares and making it actually part of the game instead of just buying them on a store. Additionally, throughout the year, they'll be adding in raids, boss encounters, points of interest, and other areas that are in dire need. They go further to talk about some of the features and systems coming to the game over the rest of the year, some of which we've already seen, like some of the new armor looks, new hair, and additional VFX like tracking projectiles that came with druids. There's also your general stuff to expect that has been happening since EA launched, like chat improvements, UI improvements, performance optimization, etc. But one place I'm looking at specifically is my biggest negative when I reviewed Pantheon earlier this year: enhanced quest functionality and perception enhancements. These I kind of put together hand in hand because they both help develop one part of the game that is the most underdeveloped right now: world building and lore. Ronik was recently rehired and they've been hard at work adding in dialogue and quest text, especially in Wild's End, which are encouraging signs. But damn if I could just wave a magic wand and like clone several of Ronik so this could speed up a little bit, because this is the part where every time I log in, I feel the pain of it missing. I want to know why I should care so much about the things going on in the world beyond just wanting to kill things. And I want to clarify that Pantheon will never be a quest hub MMO. It is the antithesis of the game, but meaningful quests and world building I think is going to be essential to making this game feel like the intersection between EverQuest and classic WoW that it wants to be, especially utilizing the branching dialogue and character flagging of the perception system to make it feel like what you do in the world matters to a greater world lore. Now, not to end on a sour note, but I want to talk about two glaring things that are not included in this roadmap. Classes, notably the Bard, the only remaining class, and the rest of the playable races, including some of the most unique ones like the Scar and the Archai and their version of the Gnome. But at the same time, given the choice between those and adding more zones to explore, more points of interest, more quests, and more current customization of armor and characters through hairstyles and skin tones, as well as perhaps different faces, I think I'd take that approach. It's a painful pill to swallow, especially since we've already heard about the Bard potentially coming before the end of 2025, and this sounds like they're slipping to 2026, but it makes some sense given what they're prioritizing. It's just still a painful pill to swallow. On one other place that I'm sad not to see, but is really understandable in its exclusion, even more than the Bard, is no housing. Housing has come up a few times for Pantheon as well as boats. Both have plans around them, though I haven't been able to uncover with any certainty since we received a survey back in 2024 whether or not Pantheon is planning on instance housing or in-game housing. But before adding housing, you gotta have props and such worth putting into your house. And for that, you need artists. If you're gonna have a housing system that works and makes sense and has a non-vertical progression to it the way something like EverQuest 2 or Ultima Online has done to great success, or that World of Warcraft is gonna be trying here this year, you have to actually commit to it. And it sounds like Pantheon's not quite there yet to put in a housing system with meat. Sounds like a weird way to put it, but that's you know what, that's how I'm gonna end it, on that weird note, because I need to get back to work. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Redbeard Flynn, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. But before you go, if you want to check out some more news on some other MMOs like Stars Reach, Dune Awakening, go check this video out right here because there's some interesting developments that just happened.